Uh, God. Where am I? Is this the Black Garden? Oh, it's you. I know who you are, you know. The Traveler, the Gardener, I don't even know anymore. Are you going to say something? Anything? Or are you just gonna stay quiet again? Of course. Still nothing. After everything that's happened, you're still going to keep your mouth shut. Do you know what it's like to know that your mother is right there in front of you? You're standing within her gaze, and yet no matter how much you beg and plead for her to call out, she says nothing. You so badly want me to make my own fate? Well, maybe this is the fate I want. Just talk to me. That's all I want. Talk to me, please! Guardian, are you okay? Did you have another bad dream? Yeah,
You good, man? I heard you screaming from the other room.
I'm fine. Just another bad dream is all. Think you're gonna be able to go back to sleep? I don't know, man.
You want some melatonin?
Yeah.
I need you to
What?
the work
Is going on?
I think I, along with many other people invested in the lore, were really expecting a Gardener reveal in the final shape. Of all the times to reveal the character, meeting her inside of the Traveler makes the most sense by far. But we didn't. At least, not directly. Some people speculate that Cade's vision of Sundance was actually the Gardener, which does make a bit of sense.
If we manage to connect with the Traveler, what would you ask it?
Besides how to help? Easy. I want my Sundance back.
Hi.
Sundance? Is that really you?
I'm what you wanted me to be.
Other than that, most of what we get is some relatively compelling hints from the lore, which we will go over later. Now, it would have been easy to just simply come to the conclusion that the Traveler was just the Traveler if it weren't for the fact that the witness confirmed that the Winnower is real. And if the Winnower is real, then the Gardener has to be real by proxy. You can't have one without the other. So, the existence of the Gardener isn't really what I'm thinking about, but more specifically, the Gardener's relation to the Traveler. Is the Gardener herself the Traveler, or is the Traveler sort of a proxy for her? Today's topic is less of a specific theory and more of a collection of information in order to start a conversation, as I feel there is evidence that can point to either or possibly being true. I feel the good place to start is the Ergo Sum lore tab, which alludes to why the Gardener communicates with us the way she does. The lore for the Ergo Sum depicts various conflicts and events from the Gardener's point of view, and notably shows that the Gardener can observe what's happening in the universe, but cannot interact with it outside of faint influences. And people receive these communications in the form of dreams. Most of the speakers throughout the Golden Age received messages from the Traveler in the form of these dreams, and were even originally called Dreamers during the Golden Age. Crow was also shown dreams as well, as he explained during the Hawkmoon quest in Season of the Hunt. We've received visions in the form of dreams as well, such as the vision we received at the beginning of the Red War campaign, as well as the beginning of the Final Shape. Even Clovis received a vision during a near-death experience, where the Gardener seemingly appeared before him in the form of the Alpha Lupi, a wolf, which seems to be a common form in which the Gardener likes to present herself. For the most part, the Gardener seems to like to take specific forms in order to communicate. Sundance for Cade, a hawk for us and Crow, and a wolf for Clovis. While most of these seem to be various animals, with Sundance being a bit of an odd one out, there is one particular instance I haven't mentioned yet, which I find particularly interesting. That instance seems to be a dream of Saint 14. Legacy's Oath Mark.
I know who I am. I am a Titan. So long as I am able, I stand between the last city and those who would tear it down.
Saint 14. Saint 14, like most Exos, dreamt of the Deep Stone Crypt often. The Golden Field, the looming Black Tower, the battle below, surging with faces that were eerily familiar. He was used to these dreams, like many of his mechanical kin, and resolutely uncurious about any deeper meaning. It couldn't be anything good, he reasoned long ago. Besides, his waking life kept him more than occupied. However, since his return from the kaleidoscope depths of the Infinite Forest, the dreams had increased in frequency and eeriness. For the first few weeks, instead of battle, he faced single opponents in duels. Osiris, Marin, Zavala, Anna, even the Guardian who rescued him from the Vex. No matter whom he fought, he would use all his energy and light in the fight and lose every time. Flat on his back, he would look up at the tower and know that someone was watching from within. The night before Rasputin alerted everyone of the pyramid ships entering the system, winter fell on his dreamscape, forcing him to charge through the pillowy snowdrifts at a massive winged Vex, unlike any he'd seen. He lost that night as he would for many more nights, watching as an iridescent liquid, almost like Vex milk, but different, contaminated, flowed from his every joint, sizzling in the snow. During the waking day, he maintained his usual exuberance, taking great satisfaction in helping Guardians hone their craft in the trials of Osiris. After all, the fights happening in reality were the ones to focus on. Why worry about what he can't control inside his head? But then, the night before a new vacuum of grief was opened in the system, a woman appeared at the threshold of the tower. Her clothes were black, her hair prematurely gray. She watched, arms crossed, as Saint hurled grenade after flaming grenade at the Vex with little effect. "You'll blind yourself with all that fire," she tutted. "Maybe then you'll finally learn to look instead of see." In one mighty swipe, the Vex cut the Exo down. The woman sighed as Saint crumpled to the ground. Silence fell, followed by the crunching of footsteps in the snow. "Just like your father," she said, kneeling by his head. "All of you." She laid a hand on the fore of his helm, as if feeling for a fever. "In your next life, you should take more after me." With that, her hand slid down to his eyes, and, for the brief moment before he woke up, all was dark. I believe the mysterious woman in this lore tab is the Gardener in her true form, lamenting the violent nature of Guardians. And the father that she mentions is most certainly the Winnower. Now, having explained the visions, this is where I feel there's a bit of a disconnect. From a series of collectible mini-travelers scattered throughout the Pale Heart, we get what seem to be these weird sort of memories or visions from the traveler itself. And these visions are weird. They give off an impression that the traveler is almost primal in a way, if that makes any sense. Like it doesn't seem to entirely understand the world around it. On top of that, when it chipped away pieces of itself in order to make the ghosts, the act seemed to have left its memories fractured. So, you could argue that perhaps the Gardener lost her memories too, which is why these communications are so vague and scattered. But here's the thing, that can't be the case, because the Gardener communicated with Saint, and the mentioning of the Winnower, the father of the Guardians, proves that her memories are still intact. The reason I'm making this out to be a big deal is because, while you can make a good argument that the Traveler and the Gardener are separate entities, the game really tries to nudge you towards the idea that they are one and the same through in-game dialogue throughout Final Shape.
The gardener's touch is here, brimming with life.
Gardener? You mean the Traveler drew you here?
The gardener, your great machine, Mithrax, the Traveler, they're all one and the same.
And if that wasn't enough, my buddies Venextron and Solved Alloy discovered that in the end area of Salvation's Edge, around the dead parts of what seems to be a tree of silver wings, you can hear what sounds like a woman screaming. I don't know about you guys, but I could honestly see it going either way. Personally, with how Final Shape went, I think I'd prefer if they made it a little bit of both, with them sharing some sort of innate connection, but being separate entities. Maybe the Traveler could be like a sort of conduit or agent with which the Gardener is able to interact with the world. But I can't say for certain what the actual answer could be. So, like I said, the whole idea of this video is to start a conversation. Talk about it in the comments, maybe point out some of the information I could have missed. Okay, so there actually was a big piece of information I missed. I was discussing this topic with Venextron, Meyerseer, and Solved Alloy, and we found out that in the Books of Sorrow, we know that the Winnower is referred to as the Deep. The Light, of course, is referred to as the Sky, and the Traveler and the Sky are talked about as though they are two separate entities within the Books of Sorrow. While what is presumably the Gardener is referred to as the Sky, the Traveler is actually called the Traveler, and it is referred to as the Sky's Bait Star. So that confirms to me that, at least from the older narrative team's point of view, that they were two separate entities. However, the new writers could very easily still retcon this, since the Books of Sorrow are kind of retconned in and of themselves in a weird sort of way. So they can quite literally change whatever they want and just say, oh, well, the Books of Sorrow was lying, blah blah blah. I want to know what the community's general consensus on this specific topic is, because right now, I'm just not really entirely certain. Hopefully we'll get an answer later down the road, but I guess we'll see.
They call you the Savage, huh?
Oh yeah,